So,
What's up?
how's it feel? Nearly tasting victory, but being defeated by me in fantasy.
Oh, okay. So that's where we're going. Dude, if I had to lose on a game or in a fantasy matchup to a wide receiver who I had so highly touted before the draft, I was watching this kid at USC the second he transferred from Pittsburgh on Pac-12 Dark when I was a fan of the Pac-12. I still am. And I was like, man, I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but if the Seahawks could draft him, it'd be great. Go through the whole process, go through the whole combine, go through everything leading up to the draft. I'm like, okay, oh, he's falling. Oh my God, our pick's up. Oh my God, we could take him. And then we took the smart pick, which I always encourage Seahawks to do, and they did. So I was just like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but cool. And then, of course, the Vikings pull Vikings, get a receiver, and outside of Puka Nacua.
And it hits.
Yeah. Outside of Puka Nacua, he's been the best wide receiver in the draft. He has this breakout game against me in fantasy last night to win you the matchup.
Well, not just him, too. TJ.
Okay. Jordan Addison put up 2 touchdowns in.
Yeah.
He delivered basically half his production in touchdowns last night in one game. That's his breakout game.
It was so good.
I'm in pain. I hate it here. Welcome in to Good Time Sports. My name is Cullen Brown and joined by producer co-host today, Brendan Carson. We've got a good one for you. Major League Baseball, we've got a World Series bound team. That is your Texas Rangers, Brendan Carson. Woo. Formula One stopped at United States Grand Prix in Coda. We'll talk about that. Yeah, Max Verstappen. The NHL season is well underway. We'll update you from the ice. The NBA season tips off tonight. We will give you our predictions on that one. College football, NFL, and as always, wrapping up with This Day in Sports. Let's get into episode 58.
Well, the music stopped there, so I guess we're just going right into it.
We're going into it. We'll do it. All right, so just kicking it off in the Major League Baseball world, and in the world of Major League Baseball, there is one team that has clinched its spot in the sport's biggest stage. That is your Texas Rangers. Brendan Carson, how do you feel? The Rangers are World Series bound.
You know, just rocking a jersey and a hat, and just full bound. So I couldn't have lost either way, though, and it's what I've been saying. But I said I wanted the Rangers to go because they haven't won, and I want to see them win one. So I want to see them play against Arizona because then either team, it's a Cinderella story.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting series on both sides of the AL and the NLCS. The Rangers obviously pulling it out in Game 7 with the 11-4, victory over the Houston Astros in Houston, which a series that you don't see too often, a 7-game series in which the road team wins every single game. I mean, that's in itself got to show you, like, hey, the wild and crazy antics that were going on.
Which is why I'm almost like, oh, man, we have home field advantage in the World Series. I'm like, maybe we don't want this.
And you got to think, too, maybe the fact that it was a Lone Star showdown, that maybe both teams just felt at home.
Yeah.
So you never know. In terms of Arizona-Philly, it started out looking like the Phillies were going to cruise past, and then Arizona said, we're not going to go down without a fight. We've now got Game 7 here tonight at 7:07, our time.
Russo did say he would resign if Arizona won Game 7.
Ooh.
So might be a chance to get rid of Chris Russo finally off the airs for baseball.
Yeah, we'll see if he holds up that end of the bargain.
Yeah, right.
I also remember, Mel Kiper saying that he would do something drastic if Jimmy Clausen wasn't a successful NFL quarterback, and we all know how that turned out. So.
Jimmy who?
Yeah, exactly. So Arizona takes on Philly tonight in Philadelphia. I'm assuming they're already greasing up the polls for no matter what the result is tonight.
Yeah, they were greasing them up the other day too.
But yeah, so we've got the Phillies and the Diamondbacks, man. It is crazy. I will say you have called this Arizona rise up to prominence.
I called it at the beginning, too.
You did. When we did our predictions, and you really have been on them really kind of since like the second half of the season, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's crazy to me how, and I'm kind of rooting for even though I picked the Phillies, I'm kind of rooting for the Diamondbacks as well, just because, again, Paul Sewald, Seattle Mariners, excuse me. Seattle Mariners former closer, and they've also got a couple other Mariners on the roster as well, but I just don't want Philly to get another series. I want Arizona or the Rangers to get there first. It'd be nice. Yeah, and from a neutral baseball fan's perspective, it would be really glorious to see that happen.
And if Philly goes, then at that point, I think most of the country would probably be like, all right, Rangers, come on.
Yeah, I think Rangers would be a favorite in that one. Philly, though, in a Game 7 spot, like I said, it's now we've kind of what we were talking about when we previewed the series. A team that's experienced, team that was literally in the World Series last year. They know what they are going up against a Diamondbacks team that, again, they're playing like they don't know they don't know why they're here, and it's working.
And again, I said it before, I'll say it again. If pitching holds up, you can win.
You can. And it for the Diamondbacks, it really came on the last, I'd say, few games of the series.
Yeah.
I mean, not to mention, I mean, too, the bats came alive in Game 6.
Yep.
When they needed them most. So that really helped them off as well. I'm just looking at the pitching matchup tonight. So it is going to be Suarez versus Faded. Sorry if I mispronounced that, for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'd imagine these teams probably go deep in their bullpen tonight just to make sure they get the best possible.
It's going to be like what we saw last night, too, with like the Rangers and the Astros at that point. You're putting everyone in because you're making sure you win. Like the Rangers were like, Montgomery, hey, bud, Scherzer's kind of struggling. We're pulling Scherzer. You got a short rest. You're up. You're going to be a reliever for the first time in your career. And he's like, okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
he did good.
And he did. And he came in and gave the Rangers valuable innings. So,
yep.
I would expect this to potentially favor Philly. Again, just because I trust their lineup to figure out, excuse me, Arizona's pitching more than I expect Arizona to counteract Phillies, although I could be wrong. I never know, but it's just, man, I could really see a Bryce Harper showcase tonight. He seems to come up biggest in the biggest moments. And not to mention, I mean, you still have Schwarber, you still have Castellanos, you still have Trey Turner. I mean, you've got a loaded lineup there. And that's the thing. I thought that this series would be over quicker because of that. And we're here at a Game 7. So maybe Arizona's got something up their sleeve. Dude, it's going to be a wild, wild Game 7. The fact that we got 2 in this MLB postseason, it's truly just like an awesome thing to see.
Yeah. So Zach Gallen pitched on the 21st. Was it the last time he pitched? So you could throw him in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
what
surprised.
the Rangers did with Montgomery.
Yeah.
And then, because again, this is the time where it's everyone in the bullpen's playing at this point.
Yeah.
Like, if someone's struggling, you're going up.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So, honestly, Houston.
If we're up, you gotta stay in it.
Right. Houston honestly probably should have gone earlier into their bullpen because their starter put them in a hole right from the get go.
Yeah. After the first home run, I would have probably said, okay, let's pull them. Didn't help them though.
No, and I mean the Rangers also too. I mean you got this extra time now. Uvalde can start Game 1 and it'd be a pretty decent rest because he didn't pitch last night. So, what was your main take? So obviously Rangers and Astros guy Brendan Carson here.
As I said, always Adolis is him.
Adolis is him.
The Astros had their own Cuban Missile Crisis named Adolis Garcia.
Jesus.
And the missiles kept going.
Oh man! So it was almost, and so this was very. So this was kind of similar to another Dallas team going down 3-2 in a series not too long ago in a very, very contentious matchup. Rivals, you could say. I'll quickly kind of summarize it. So basically, the Mavericks went down to the Suns 3-2, and the Phoenix guys, mainly their star Devin Booker, were talking a lot. They were kind of chirping at Luka, and Luka kind of came out and was like, everyone's tough, when they're up or something like that. Or everyone likes to act tough when they're up.
Yep.
And they come out and win the next 2 games, and especially in games that blow the doors off of them.
Yep.
And Adolis, after getting hit by pitch late in that Game 5, if I want to say, really seemed to just kind of ignite his fire, and he went absolutely nuclear.
Oh, yeah.
In Houston. And to me, Adolis really has grown up a lot this season. I mean, he was always a really good player, at least for the Rangers. Like, he's kind of progressed, up to the stages now where he was one of the best bats in the Major League Baseball this year. And when the Rangers truly needed him most, because, I mean, Seager was going to do his thing, the offense, there wasn't really necessarily problems with it, but when they seemed to need a really big at-bat, Adolis seemed to deliver in these final 2 games.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been his role, really, with the Rangers. It seems like you'll have Semien and Seager, Young, like those guys are going to be the ones, hey, we're going to get doubles, we're going to move the bases around, stuff like that. And it's like, all right, we got 2 guys on base, put in the big dog, let's see how he does.
Yeah.
And swing for the fences, and that's kind of his MO.
Yeah. And Adolis just, I mean, he looks like a man, like I said, possessed at the plate at the moment. So I know the Rangers are going to be hyped up, the fact that they're back in the World Series for the first time since, 2011? Yep. So it's a great day for Rangers fans. Obviously, we live in the area, so a lot of people are supporting their Rangers gear, along with Brendan, probably today. So, yeah, the Rangers should feel good. They really should. And I'm laughing now, thinking back to when we made our MLB predictions, and we were like, yeah, the Rangers, they could make the playoffs. Like, we believed in them, and we just could not see. I mean, no one really saw this coming, outside of maybe the people inside that organization.
Yeah, true.
What you looking at?
So this is the first playoff appearance, World Series without the Astros in it since almost 2019.
Well, it's the first one without the Astros or the Dodgers since 2016.
Oh my gosh, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, those are the two of the biggest powerhouses in baseball.
The Astros 2017, and then 2019, 2021, 2022.
Yeah, exactly. And then the Dodgers were also in there a couple times too. So, yeah, credit to the Astros in terms of making it a competitive fight. They really fought back in Texas. Obviously, Jose Altuve, game 5, 9th inning home run.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not trying to expose too many people here, but my brother and Mike, my stepdad, they were not too keen on watching Game 6. They thought it was over. Like, they were not.
Sounds like our other co-host that we fired, Andrew. Since he's not here again, he got fired again.
To be fair,
all of them wigging out.
Well, here's the thing. Andrew at least was watching it. Andrew was from my brother. I kind of had to be like, hey, the Rangers are doing good. Do you want to come into the living room real quick? Because I was watching. My
goodness, you had to tell him to come watch.
Oh yeah, because I was just like, I was watching it regardless. I mean, it's playoff baseball.
Absolutely.
So I was watching it in the living room, and our stepdad kind of went to bed. He kind of was like, "Oh, I'm not feeling well," but really, he was just like, "Yeah, I don't want to get into it." He had been so locked in this entire run.
Yeah.
And then so I'm like, yeah, I think when the Rangers went up, I think it was like 3-1 in Game 6 or somewhere around there. I was like, hey, just so you know, because he didn't respond to me at first, and I hit him with the bump, hit him with the hey, just so you know. And he came in, and he was very down. He was just like, man, I know it's gonna hurt. Altuve's gonna hit a home run. It's gonna ruin my dreams and all this. He was very pessimistic, and surely enough, Rangers won, and then they won Game 7. So crazy to think.
This man disappointed.
Hey, listen, he's gone through a lot at being a Rangers fan, and the Rangers are his team. So
Rangers and Astros fan. I went through it for years.
Yeah,
and I'm a Minnesota fan.
Well, okay, Astros have been pretty good to you for the last what would you say since 2017?
Let's go everything else before then though.
Okay, well you could say that. You could say that for a lot of teams though, and they haven't had the run that the Astros had.
Listen, I was a fan of teams that had never won a championship, and still am. Looking at you, Minnesota. Rangers are at least at the World Series.
Anyways, okay, what's your score prediction for Game 7 tonight?
Oh, let's go 7-5.
You're thinking Arizona though?
Arizona.
I
really want it.
Just to not have the meme of we both picked the same team. Yeah. I'm gonna rock with Philly because I did pick them before the series. I'm gonna say Philly wins 5-3.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Harper has a big night tonight. And then, okay, since you picked Arizona, I'll pick Philly. Give us your World Series predictions. Who wins, MVP, all of that.
Oh, we want to go down this. Okay.
Well, because, the World Series starts on Friday. So.
Yeah, you ain't wrong. Let's see here. Obviously, I would be biased there, and I would say the Rangers. Which point, MVP... Who... Will Adolis continue or not?
Seager's been there before.
I know, and that's what I was. And I could see Young kind of sneaking up in there too, or Heim. Jonah Heim's been having a heck of a game too.
Yeah.
Let's just ride the Adolis train right now, and I'd say Adolis.
Okay.
It's hard. The man's just nuclear hot right now, so it's hard to not.
It's true. And how many games, just for the record?
Let's say 6.
6?
Yeah.
Okay. I will say, like I said, I'll pick. I'm going with the fact that I don't want us to both pick it. I know.
Well, you got Philly now in yours. So.
Yeah. So I have Philly in mind. I'll rock with the Phillies again, just being the difference.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think Philly. I'll say Philly in 7.
And you gotta say Bryce Harper.
Yeah. I think Harper's the guy. He to me is, the difference maker in that potential matchup. So I'll rock with Phillies in 7. Harper wins World Series MVP. Don't know how good I feel about that, but you never know how that could happen. So that is my pick for this year's World Series.
There you go.
Imagine the freaking Diamondbacks come in. It's just like it doesn't even matter anyway.
It doesn't. Screw your Philly picks.
I know.
Now who you got?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say Arizona does.
Okay,
go
so it's
Arizona Rangers. Who would you have then? You can agree if you want. It's okay.
I know. I'll go Texas now. I'll say, you know what? I'll say Texas in 5, and I'll say World Series MVP. I'll go Corey Seager.
Corey Seager? Okay.
Yeah. So he becomes the, I don't know what, he'd be on a very exclusive list of World Series MVP with 2 different teams.
Yeah.
So.
No kidding.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, in that matchup, if I'm the Rangers, I'd rather see Arizona. I'm going to be honest.
That's where I'm at. That's why I want them to go there.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? It's been a heck of an October, man.
Who's getting a new GM?
Arguing new manager?
Or new manager, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yes. So Phil Nevin headed from interdivision switching, going from San Diego Padres over to the San Francisco Giants. This is an interesting one. I think this really goes to show what we talked about all season in terms of the locker room in San Diego. And the fact that, hey, he thought, let somebody else handle these personalities because the talent's there, clearly. But obviously they didn't deliver this season.
There's some issues going on there.
You're going to need, honestly, like a strong personality to be in that locker room.
Yeah.
I mean, mainly somebody with their head on straight, but just somebody that can combat, Soto,
the
Tatis,
egos.
And
you could call it as
Machado. Right? No, that's what I'm saying.
Egos.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So, very interesting to see who the Padres hire as their next manager.
Yep. So I think that really about does it now for baseball.
All right. Now we're going to give Brennan some break time and head over to Formula One.
Max Verstappen won. Big shock.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, see, I don't even have to watch Formula One to know.
Hey, but guess what? He won 2 races this weekend.
Because
there was a sprint. Max.
So he's double.
Yeah, he's double Max Verstappen. Exactly. So Max Verstappen is inevitable. He clinches his 50th race win in Formula One, the second fastest person to ever reach 50 wins, only to Michael Schumacher at Ferrari. And he's, how old? I think 26 years old. So he's doing pretty well for himself.
He's about to just retire. He's like, I've done it all. And there's nothing else.
The thing, he genuinely, that's his mindset. He's just like, gosh, I'm already like about to complete the sport. Like, it's like, when you finish a video game real quick and
you're like, there's nothing else for me to do.
Nothing.
He's like, I'll go to rally racing or something now.
So the sprint race was pretty standard in terms of sprint race. I mean, Coda's a really good track. It's a fun track. I personally, obviously we haven't seen Las Vegas yet. It's my personal favorite out of the 3 Grand Prix here.
So far,
exactly. But yeah, Max took care of business in the sprint in a very kind of standard measure. And then we get to the race where the only real kind of drama was the fact that the Red Bull was having some braking issues. It was causing Max to not have the quickest times and not be in the best position. He did start in P6 for this race only because during his final lap in qualifying, he went off for track limits. Therefore, his lap time got deleted, so he had to stick with his original time, which was only good for P6. Therefore, he kind of had to work his way through the field a little bit, and it was kind of a botched strategy by Mercedes, who Lewis Hamilton could have had his chance to win his first race since 2021, which is crazy for the guy who holds the most race wins in Formula One history. And he was making his way through the field, and basically he looked like he was going to challenge Max at the end, and he ultimately did. He only lost by 2.2 seconds, which in Formula One terms is very close. But it was found out after the race. So they did basically... So, Brendan, at the end of the race, basically, at every race. They take a random assortment of cars and they go through these like tests. They basically just go through. They got
So
like
a
a little
doping
sensor
test.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. So it's like a little sensor test thing where it's like, hey, you know, because the cars are constantly upgrading and they're constantly like changing and stuff. So they'll go through and run through tests to make sure they're good for the race, right? Or they're good post race, I should say. Well, shocker. Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes brought an upgrade to Coda, and it did not pass inspection. So he actually finished P2 on the road, but he got disqualified because his car wasn't up to inspection. It missed the there was a part on the rear floor of his car that just wasn't up to code by like millimeters. I mean, it was so quick, and it was not only him but also Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc.
Oh, was that like post I saw where both of them said like mood or something like that? And they're just
Yeah. So that's what that was. So they both got disqualified. So their race finishes obviously do not count. DQs don't happen a lot in Formula One. Like normally teams are very like precise.
On top of everything.
Exactly. So the fact that this happened is insane, but it would have been even crazier because Lewis had a chance to win this race. There was actually a point where Max was like, towards the final laps, I mean, he was struggling just to like get it across the line. It would have been crazier if Lewis had won and then gotten disqualified.
And then it goes, here you go, Max.
Yeah, pretty much. And those two, that would have been very tenuous. But yeah, so Lewis gets his podium revoked. Then it goes to Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz, then Sergio Perez, George Russell, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Alexander Albon, and Logan Sargent. Brendan, an American scored a point in Formula One for the first time in over 30 years.
That's bad.
I mean, it's good, but it's also, it's pretty...
Apparently, we suck at Formula One race. It's because we're all doing NASCAR and NHRA drag racing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the karting, right? So, like, we didn't grow up with karting here.
Nah.
And
we were running from moonshine and the police, and that's why we all do left turns.
Yeah, we were running from a lot of stuff. What's up, buddy? We're talking some Formula One.
Oh, it's the man that was fired is back.
Yay.
Want to say something? Did I get fired again?
Yep.
No.
We're talking about F1.
Oh. Yeah. Did you guys already talk about baseball?
Yes.
And go Rangers?
Yep. You want to give thoughts on F1, though?
I want to give one very specific thought. Fuck the Astros. And fuck Abreu. And fuck the city of Houston. And Philly.
Do you want to...
Andrew's now adding the city of Houston of places he can't go to.
I was about to say, all right, do you want to make your World Series prediction? Pick who's going to win Game 7 and then pick, everything.
Game 7, D-backs over Phillies. Rangers in 6 over D-backs.
World Series MVP?
Corey Seager.
Okay. A little mixture of ours.
He got Game 6. That's what I said. I said Adolis for my MVP because the man's nuclear hot, and he said Seager. He did just polar opposite because I said Arizona, and then he said Philly, so then he picked Philly. No. Well, so Arizona Rangers, yes, we both did Rangers.
I don't want to be... Because if we all pick it, I feel like it's bad juju.
That is bad.
Yeah.
We do need to have one now.
So I picked the Phillies.
He's the odd
Phillies
man
win.
out.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yep.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, Andrew.
All right, he's fired again.
Man, just like I said, just always a great time. Yeah. All right. So now we got all our predictions in. Brief interruption there.
But yeah, America needs to step it up in F1.
Yeah, and the fact that like they have a driver in there is good, even though he may or may not keep a seat. This is definitely a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
I could see Americans becoming more apt to go the F1 route. Now, granted, it's a very expensive sport to get into, so not everyone's going to be getting into it, but who knows?
But yeah, I mean, Drive to Survive and those other shows help.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of it, and the fact that so many people, like, again, when the Grand Prix come here, I mean, it's flooded with people wanting to watch. So I think the sport's here to stay, and I'm here for it. So, yeah, all right. And then we've got the Mexican Grand Prix coming up this upcoming weekend, second of a triple header that Formula One has in these 3 consecutive weekends. Max Verstappen, I'm thinking is going to win.
I don't even know, and I would have put money down on Max winning.
The thing is now, so we're getting towards the end of the season. Red Bull are already focusing on next year's car. This could be like a sneaky, like one of these last few races where, hey, they don't, like I said, Max just had braking issues in, this race. Could there be a small, slim chance of like, hey, something happens, somebody else wins? I'll say Lando looks really impressive in the McLaren. I really want him to get his first win, But for the podium, I'll go Max, Lando, and I'll actually go Oscar Piastri. I think McLaren get back on track in Mexico, and that's the order of the podium. But yeah, I don't think this is the race where Max gets dethroned. He tends to love a good Mexican Grand Prix. So yeah, Checo.
Just like I love a good Mexican food.
Yeah. Perfect way to end Formula One. Let's get over to the National Hockey League. Oh, that was perfect. That was good.
It comes to me sometimes.
Yeah, it clearly. Clearly it does. Detroit Red Wings, good?
I guess. For now.
Yeah. I
mean, they have one loss.
They do. And it's just the Red Wings, they are a team that I was not expecting to be in contention. Now, could they potentially kind of fall towards the pack as we get later into the season? Maybe.
Yes. I'm willing to say it now. Yes.
But the fact that they've scored 30 goals this season, that leads the National Hockey League. I mean, that's something.
Yeah, they have 10 points. So they're tied with Boston right now, which is weird to say.
It is weird. And Toronto has not gotten off to the start that I thought they would. But hey,
there's tons of season left to be played.
Yeah, Philadelphia Flyers are winning the Metropolitan.
Yep, with 7 points right now, followed closely behind with the New York Rangers and then the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Carolina Hurricanes, all 3 at 6.
Yeah, the Devils not looking good in that one either.
No, they're at 5 points right now. So, and then at the Western Conference, the Avalanche just leading it right now, 10 points, followed by the Dallas Stars at 7, and then Arizona and the Predators at 6. And then looking at the Pacific, Vegas Golden Knights just dominating everyone right now with 12 points right now. And then Vancouver with 6 and the Kings at 5. So Knights just running away with it at the moment in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Which doesn't shock me too terribly much.
No, I mean, look, you picked the Golden Knights to win the Pacific. And they look really good.
Yeah.
They really are. And I still think Edmonton can make it interesting. They're trying to recover from
injuries.
Yeah, and just everything. They're not off to the hottest of starts, but I expect them to be in contention as we get later into the year. Like you said, it's early. It's early. So the Stars also too, like the fact that they've only scored 12 goals compared to 10 allowed. I mean, the 10 allowed, no offense, we've kind of expected it at this point.
It's like, let me get on my high horse from last year. Can we get Rangers some help?
Yeah,
please.
Well, that's kind of a reason why you may not be at Colorado's level right now. Yes. But I would expect the goals to pick up too, because in the Central, you're second fewest in goals scored this season, which is not the Stars brand, as we know, under their kind of recent regime here. Excuse me. So far, I know baseball's kind of been the main kind of thing for you right now, obviously with the Rangers. Have you checked out the Stars in terms of like how they're doing? Like, what have you liked so far? What have you not liked so far in the season?
I mean, really, just when it comes down to it, offensive-wise, they're still doing really good. I mean, they had an overtime win thanks to Captain America again, as always. Old Pavs leading the way.
Yeah.
So
they're 1-1 in overtime games then.
Yes.
Yeah. Or 1-0-1.
Yep.
Well, it has to be 1-1 in overtime. Never mind. Anyways, yeah. So overtime.
Got it.
Yeah. There you go. The overtime again that we hated saying for the Stars all last year.
It's still early.
It's early.
Again, defense is the weakest link right now, and so that's something that they're going to be struggling with. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell them at this point. I couldn't stress it enough earlier, and now we're back here again where I'm like, yes, the Stars haven't lost yet, but there's tons of season left to be played, and that is what concerns me is our defense. So,
yeah. Do you think the Stars could potentially make a move?
I don't know what they're going to do, though,
right.
At this point. I mean, I would like them to, but again, it's like who...
I
don't know who we would trade to even try to do something like that, because then we're taking away from offensive power, too.
Yeah.
And that's the other issue. I don't know what you would do in that situation. I really don't. I mean, you got to go.
So you're pretty much just stuck with what you got.
Basically. I mean,
Interesting.
you'd rather have offensive firepower than a really good defense, but...
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. I'll say this. So I've watched, some Kraken this year. They just look young, man. They look like a team that last year, they outperformed their skis. Could they kind of, find their footing? No pun intended.
Ooh, y'all are 1-4.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I'll say this. For everyone expecting the fact like Andrew was really high on them this year. To me, they've got a lot of growing up to do and a lot of just chemistry to build. They haven't hit their kind of maturity stage, I feel like, as a franchise. And they'll get to that point. They've got like veteran guys on the roster. I'm not saying they're like completely young, but just as a unit, they got some growing pains to go through. And right now they're definitely growing.
In the midst of those pains?
Yeah, exactly. So I think this year will be a humbling year for Kraken fans. And it's unfortunate to say, but I think that's a reality that we're in.
Yeah. Ducks released their new uniforms.
Ooh, yes, I saw that.
Looked really good. Yeah, I sent it.
That. Yeah.
Throwback to the old Mighty Ducks style, so gotta love it.
Yeah, that's the best thing going for their franchise at this moment. So
yeah,
let's be honest.
You look good losing.
Sounds like the Miami Dolphins for all those years before they got
my goodness.
McDaniel and all that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that really kind of does it for hockey. We got a lot to get into with
everything
NBA
else
coming out in football. So hockey's just going to kind of be a brief segment for a little bit till we can get into everything else. So without further ado,
NBA time. The NBA is back. Tip-off is scheduled tonight, October 24th, 2023. Lakers take on the Nuggets, followed by the Suns and Warriors on TNT. I'm happy.
I can still be bought.
Yes, you can.
I still don't have a team.
So here's the thing, right?
I guess the Mavs. But
So that is your thing, right? That you can be bought. And hey,
I can. First team to send me a jersey buys my fanship.
I'm glad you brought that up. So before we get into the predictions and everything, I want you just on your phone or whatever while I'm going through this, look up the NBA city jerseys for the 2023.
Oh, I saw those. They all look terrible.
They are so bad.
I think the only one that looked kind of, let me go back to it.
Oh, no, they're terrible.
There was one that I was like, out of all the just ugliness, there was one where I was like, meh? But that's really about it.
Because the thing is like if someone tries to buy you with one of those jerseys, I may not take it.
Yeah.
And the thing
is, do your original jerseys if you're going to try to buy me.
And like the NBA jerseys, NBA jerseys for the longest time, they're like some of the best jerseys.
I think
in
Houston's is maybe like one of those that isn't that bad, but it's still like bad.
They're bad.
Like they're Atlanta bad. Alt.
Yeah.
How about I Control Alt Delete your jersey?
I think you just had a is it Alt or ATL?
It's ATL, but I'm saying Alt.
Yeah,
like
okay. I thought you had I'm sorry. I thought you had a dyslexic moment.
No, it was a joke.
Okay. Here's what I'll say. Those jerseys are bad, and I can't remember the last time the NBA jerseys have been this bad. Because say what you will.
What 2019's the Mavs City Connect jerseys? Those things.
No, I'm saying, but universally.
Oh, where everyone sucks. Yeah, that's real. That's real hard to manage, and apparently easily doable for the NBA.
Like, there's no personality in any of the jerseys. They're too minimalistic. They're just
there's nothing.
I think like the Kings literally look like Times New Roman font. Like I forget which one it is, but it's.
Is it that weird one?
No, the three. That one's actually like
the 3 lines up, 3 lines to the
Memphis. Yeah, the
M-E-M. That's Memphis.
Yeah, MEM. Yeah, Memphis. Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even read. I just saw 3 lines.
Yeah, so that's the purpose of the design. That one, even then, the fact that it confuses people.
San Francisco's does a weird loop thing that I don't get. Mavs have like some swirls on them.
Yeah, it's not a great year for NBA jerseys. Which we're not gonna dwell on that too much.
Culture.
Yeah, it's not great. Okay, so aside from that, basically, if you want to buy Brendan's, long story short, get a jersey, not from the City edition this year.
Yeah, just do your normal team jerseys.
Yeah, like the NFL jerseys are killing it with all their like throwbacks. The NBA,
yeah, you do a throwback one. I'm cool with that.
Yeah,
my goodness.
But
those are bad.
We're gonna get into some NBA predictions. Brendan's just gonna ask me some questions, and I'm gonna answer them. So
all right,
let's rattle off.
postseason standings. Who you got?
Okay, so we got postseason standings. We got play-in up to 10. So I'm just going to roll through from each conference. I'm going to just go
Hit it.
top to bottom. All right, starting in the Eastern Conference, I do have the Milwaukee Bucks as the number 1 overall seed. I think with Giannis still in the peak of his powers, he's going to captain a really good defense. In Milwaukee, yes, they lose Drew Holiday, but they acquired Damian Lillard, who is going to just expand so many things offensively for him. I think Chris Middleton will be healthier this year, and Brook Lopez. They're going to have some guys coming off the bench that are going to need to contribute, but ultimately, I do trust this Milwaukee team to clinch the number 1 seed.
I'm glad you brought up Damian Lillard because the only way I could understand the significance of this trade was on Twitter. I had to have it explained to me in baseball terms. Yeah. And from what I was told, it was like Mike Trout going to the Dodgers. And I was like, oh.
Yeah. That's basically what happened.
Yeah.
It's a groundbreaking move and one that I think is going to pay huge dividends as evidenced by these predictions. Yeah. Number 2, I've got the Boston Celtics. I do think getting Drew Holiday is a big upgrade for them. I do like their perimeter defense. I question the fact that they're at their bigs. They're trusting an injury-prone Kristaps Porzingis and a way past his prime Al Horford. So it's going to be interesting to see how they protect the middle of the paint.
Do you think the loss of Marcus Smart will contribute to that?
Well, the thing is, so you replaced Marcus Smart essentially with Drew Holiday, which, I mean, respect to Marcus Smart. He won Defensive Player of the Year, local guy, love the guy. But Drew Holiday is also Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday, a lot of players would argue that he's the best perimeter defender in all basketball. Okay. So, and he's also a fairly decent playmaker as well. So they pretty much negated that. And, Boston's going to be great. I just worry about the interior of the defense. I got them at 2. I'm actually going to roll, I can't believe I'm saying this, with the New York Knicks at the 3rd spot. I think they are built for the regular season. Tom Thibodeau is going to use the heck out of his guys. I think Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, the whole crew, they're going to be out with something to prove. They felt like they could have done better in the postseason last year, and I've got them in the 3 spot. I'm going to roll with the Chicago Bulls at the 4. Or not the Bulls, excuse me. The Cleveland Cavaliers. I can't believe it. I saw the Bulls. There you go. Sorry, I was trying to cue you up, and I even said the wrong team.
You got the Bulls out of me.
Yeah, you got the Bulls and Cleveland. All right, so the Cavs, to me, this is a team that could actually even finish lower. I'm going to give them respect because I think they've got a really good thing of young talent. Donovan Mitchell, it's like the worst kept secret in the NBA that he wants out of there. He's their best player. And the fact that they have 2 guards that really don't play a lot of defense and they're undersized is going to be a problem for them. But in the regular season, when you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, they can kind of get negated a little bit. So I got the Cavs at 4. I'm going to roll with the Miami Heat at 5. They just prove that they don't necessarily care the most about the regular season. They're just trying to get to the postseason. But I do think that with the infusion of young talent that they've got coming in, hopefully with Tyler Hero also being healthy, they're going to compete for, potentially a home court advantage in the NBA playoffs. I've got them at the 5 seed. At number 6, I'm going to roll with the Philadelphia 76ers. I think the whole James Harden saga has really left this team in an odd spot. They're just kind of, I'm not sure what they're going to do in terms of getting a trade, if they're even going to get one done with the Clippers, but it's a bad vibe in Philadelphia right now. And Joel Embiid may sooner rather than later be looking to move on from the city of brotherly love. And so I've got them at 6. At number 7, I think the Brooklyn Nets can be a really interesting team. Mikal Bridges looks like to step in his own. I'm not going to put too much stock in, Ben Simmons, but I think him even just being on the court will help this team. They are a really just fun team that doesn't have a lot of high upside, but they will compete with you every night and could be one of the best defensive teams in basketball. Sitting there at number 8, I'm going to roll with the Toronto Raptors. I think the Raptors can be sneaky good. They did lose Fred VanVleet in free agency to the Houston Rockets, and they may be sellers at the deadline, but I still think their infrastructure is going to be a really competitive team this upcoming season. At number 9, the Chicago Bulls. I think they will be very competitive in the Eastern Conference. I do like their talent. The Lonzo Ball thing, it's really unfortunate what happened, but they're still looking to be a play-in team. And then rounding out the 10 spot, I'm going to roll with the Indiana Pacers. I think Tyrese Halliburton's too good not to be in the play-in mix. And I think the Pacers team is going to be better with the offseason acquisitions that they made. That rounds out my top 10 in the Eastern Conference.
All right. Respectable. All right. Now that we got the top 10, who do you got going to the Final Four?
So from the East, I'm going to roll with the top 2. I got the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. Okay. I think, Milwaukee will be hosting, But Boston, I think those two teams, there's just a tier that those two teams are in as compared to everybody else in the Eastern Conference. So I got those two.
Okay. And then your other two?
All right, so we got to go to the West now. Rolling through, I'm going to roll with the Denver Nuggets. They are just a powerhouse in all facets of the world. They are the defending NBA champs. I've got them at the number 1 seed. Excuse me, at number 2, I'm going to roll with the Sacramento Kings. I think they are a young team that really kind of flashed their stuff last year. They're going to come out. De'Aaron Fox, I think, is only going to get better. Domantas Sabonis, he really, to me, is built for the regular season. I'm not sure how he fits in the postseason in terms of skill set and everything, but he is going to bring a kind of tough grittiness to the team. But I think they're going to be running and gunning like they did last year, and they're going to get the 2 seed. At the 3 seed, I'm going to roll with the Golden State Warriors. I know that's a little high, and definitely, for a veteran team without potentially Draymond Green to start the season with his ankle injury. I just think Steve Kerr now has a lot of variety in terms of adding Chris Paul. The fact that he doesn't have to be so Steph reliant on the offense, he can kind of give Steph some breaks, and the team doesn't completely implode when he goes to the bench. And Chris Paul can at least run the offense and give the Warriors some variety, and I think that will help them in the regular season. So I got the Warriors at 3. I've got the Phoenix Suns at 4. I still think their talent has some question marks in terms of the defensive side of the ball, who's going to be their main defender, who's going to be their rim protector, all that. But when you have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, you just can't deny that talent any much more than the next team. I've got the Los Angeles Lakers coming in at the 5 seed. I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year. Again, LeBron, how many games is he going to play? We'll see. Anthony Davis' health's always a question, but AD, when those two guys are out there, they're one of the best teams in the Western Conference. Number 6, I got the Memphis Grizzlies. I have them taking a slight step back. We don't know what's going to happen with Ja. We don't know, with Steven Adams also gone, how Jaren Jackson's going to do, being the only kind of rim protector down there. They'll still be a really good team, but in terms of just competing in the regular season, I just think that they might take a step back in terms of previous years. Excuse me, the 7 seed, I do have the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Now, will they get, James Harden to go along with Russell Westbrook? Maybe. There just seem like a lot of questions, and their health's always a concern, but they're always just too good enough not to put them in the postseason. At the 8 seed, I'm going to roll with the Dallas Mavericks. I think Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving an offseason together, they could even be higher on this list. I'm going to wait and see, though, how the rest of the roster kind of gels together and if they make any moves at the trade deadline. But the Mavericks, I do have them making the 8 seed. In the 9th spot, I'm going to roll with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they are going to be a really improved team. They get Chet Holmgren, who didn't play at all last year due to a foot injury that he suffered. Mm-hmm. He's going to be a really nice addition for them, and they're only going to be ascending. They could honestly be the biggest riser out of all the teams here. And then the 10th spot, I do have the New Orleans Pelicans. They, to me, could be big sellers at the deadline. They've got 3 guys that could be really helpful in a lot of contending teams in C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson, obviously. But they're still good enough to where they'll be in the postseason mix. I have them rounding out my top 10 in the West.
Okay.
Whew.
All right. So,
and then the final 4 for that one.
Final 4 for that.
I'm going to roll with the Nuggets and the Suns in my final 4 for the West.
All right. So who do you have for the finals matchup?
I'm going to roll with a Milwaukee Bucks versus Denver Nuggets NBA Finals. I think the 2 best players in the NBA collide on the game's biggest stage. That's what I'm rolling with for the NBA Finals.
Sweet. For those of y'all that couldn't hear us off air, I actually just randomly said, you know what? I'm going to choose the Bucks
he did.
To go. And he was like, really?
He did. He just was like, yeah. Well, I mean, hey.
I threw my dart on the board, and that's where I'm at. So
yeah, so we're both rolling with the Bucks. I just think Damian Lillard's such a perfect complement to Giannis, and Giannis, to me, is the only one that can challenge Nikola Jokic eye to eye. And Jamal Murray, listen, he's going to give Damian Lillard some problems as well, but the Bucks have the requisite kind of defense behind them. Mm-hmm. And the Nuggets, I think they might take a slight step back. They lost one of their key guys to Indiana Bruce Brown, excuse me. He was their kind of key cog, play defense, run the floor, maybe shoot some threes. He's now no longer with the team. I think Milwaukee this year, they're fully locked in on, potentially giving Denver or any team the most problems. Just the fact that Giannis being the absolute beast that he is. Mm-hmm. You add Damian Lillard, who's arguably a top 10 player when healthy. That's a deadly combination. I'm going to roll with the Bucks. You're also rolling with the Bucks.
Yep.
Insane. With, Milwaukee getting their second championship in last half decade. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So then let's move on to the awards category.
I do have Nikola Jokic winning this MVP. I think last year, little voter fatigue set in. He could have honestly won 3 MVPs in a row. And he validated himself. He truly did in terms of obviously winning his first championship, winning his first finals MVP. This year, I mean, he is the only person in the NBA that I can safely say I expect him to play the most games, or if not all 82. He's just an absolute just invincible, just in terms of health, superstar that we have in this game today. And I think his efficiency numbers, along with his just overall impact on the offensive end, he's going to win his 3rd in 4 years. And I think he's going to put him in very elite category. So I'm rolling with Nikola Jokic to win the MVP.
Alrighty. Finally, what team do you think will be most improved from last year's performance that they had?
I'm going to roll with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think, like I said, I have them potentially maybe too low. They could be potentially not even in the play-in and just in the playoffs outright. They're looking at a really good team down in Oklahoma City. I mean, you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you have Josh Giddey, you have Chet Holmgren obviously coming back, Lou Dort obviously. I mean, they've got a good squad down there in Oklahoma, or up there in Oklahoma. And, I think they could be a really interesting team. Running through other awards, I'll have Chet Holmgren win Rookie of the Year. I think he's a really good value at plus 288 or plus 280. Coach of the Year, I'm going to roll with Eric Spoelstra. I think he proved his worth last postseason, and he'll get credit for this upcoming regular season. Emmanuel Quickley, 6th Man of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. I'm going to roll with Giannis. I think he gets back to being the absolute beast that he is. And then Most Improved Player, I'm going to roll with Tyrese Maxey. I think he'll step into a new role in Philly and really show people why Philly is going to be okay with moving on from James Harden. Those are my NBA predictions for the 2023-2024 season.
All right. Anything else we want to cover in the NBA?
No, man. Just happy that's back. We got sports in flux right now, but let's take it over to the college football ranks.
And I can still be bought NBA.
No. All right. New AP poll is out. Not a lot of changes at the top. We still got Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Florida State, Washington, and Oklahoma in the top 6. But we do have some changes after that. After Penn State's very disappointing performance, which we'll get into, they dropped to 10. 7 is Texas. Number 8 is Oregon. Number 9 is Alabama. 10 is Penn State, as we just mentioned. 11, Oregon State. 12, Ole Miss. 13, Utah. 14, Notre Dame. 15, LSU. 16, Missouri. 17, North Carolina. 18, Louisville. 19, Air Force. 20, Duke. 21, Tennessee. 22, Tulane. 23, UCLA. 24, USC. 25, James Madison. That rounds out the top 25 for the college football ranks. How USC is still ranked at this point, I'm honestly kind of shocked. They're giving Caleb Williams benefit of the doubt.
I don't know.
We'll get into all of that along with every matchup and previewing next week as we jump into it. Georgia, again, they beat Vandy 37-20. Georgia, to me, so we saw it with Kentucky, right? They're able to turn it on and just absolutely just demolish the competition. They're without Brock Bowers, who's going through his injury stuff right now. And they just don't look, again, like we keep saying, like they don't look like the absolute beast that, they're the two-time defending champs should be. But they keep winning. So it's just like, what are you going to do? I wouldn't have them at 1 personally, but they've done everything that they're supposed to do. So it's just like, you kind of just throw your hands up and you're just like, all right, well, I guess we'll see you whenever the conference championship games happen, because that's the only time we're even going to see somebody remotely close to Georgia potentially.
Yeah, no kidding.
Michigan takes care of business versus Indiana, 52-7. JJ McCarthy has a pretty efficient day for the Wolverines. Like I said, they're honestly my number 1 team, but we'll let them kind of face their tougher part of the schedule as we get here later into the college football season. Ohio State, they oh my goodness, sorry, I'm in the wrong week. Gosh dang it didn't update. I was wondering why that looked weird. Okay, so sorry about that. I just can't. I was like looking at there. I was like, this doesn't look right. Okay.
You had me wondering. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
What we're looking at now.
Yeah. So there we go. So ignore everything that I just said. Okay. Michigan, right? They took care of business against Michigan State. That program is in shit. I was like, what the heck is going on here? Michigan takes care of business against Michigan State. J.J. McCarthy, again, 287, 4 touchdowns. Blake Corum had a good day. 4-0. They're still my number one team. Georgia was on a bye this week. Ignore all that. Okay.
Well, hey, if you're stealing signs, it might help. Hey-o!
All right, so let's get into that.
I mean, might as well at this point.
Right. So Michigan, obviously.
There's a lot of controversy going on.
There's a lot of stories going on. Basically, I'm going to give you kind of the shortened version that Michigan had on its staff a former military personnel who would sit there and go to rival Big Ten games. It didn't even have to be Michigan-related games.
He had, 30 tickets?
Yes.
Like 30 different tickets for Big
Ten games? Yeah. So Big Ten games. So
the seats were sitting across from the other team's bleachers on both sides.
Right. So he would pick and choose which one he'd go to and try to see if he could videotape and record signals and then get it back to, obviously, Michigan. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that Harbaugh was even aware of this guy, even though he was on his staff. Mm-hmm. What I'll say is this. This is something that I think ultimately won't be looked at as badly as, say, Spygate or even as some of the other cheating scandals that have come out in terms of recent programs, just simply from the fact that in terms of, so it was reported, right, by, ironically, it was Michigan State, somebody from Michigan State that leaked it out, trying to get them kind of selves off of their own scandal and stuff and all the bad blemishes on their program. We're still waiting in terms of the full details of the thing, and again, more stories are coming out. To me, it's one of those where Harbaugh, the biggest story for me is that Harbaugh's days at Michigan are numbered. To me, Jim has been going through so much crap with Michigan and his own freaking AD that he may just sit there and after this season, it might be over for the Harbaugh tenure. In which case, Michigan then will move on to somebody else. And will the NCAA come down on them? Maybe. I don't know. It's, again, a lot still to be determined with these allegations, and stories are also kind of conflicting each other in certain ways in terms of the little details. So I'm not sure how much this is going to affect Michigan in the short term. I don't think it's going to affect them at all this season, but I just don't think the Wolverines are going to face that much repercussions from this, if I'm being completely honest. It's one of those weird situations where, yes, in reality, they did break the rules, right? They're doing something they shouldn't be doing. I just don't know, again, how much of an impact that they had on it and what the old details of it and how much Harbaugh knew and all this other stuff. It could get really messy, and maybe it's something that they pay for down the line, but I don't think it's going to have any impact on the Wolverines right now. So they took care of business, though, against Michigan State, 49-0 to take out a little bit of frustration. So, all right, this is the game. Sorry that I want to get, I was like, there's no way that this game didn't just happen. Ohio State versus Penn State. Andrew fittingly is not on the pod today. He was the big Penn State guy. I also had Penn State at least beating Ohio State last weekend, so I'm not completely above all this. But yeah, we were wrong about Penn State, and we were wrong about Drew Aller. He looked awful, so bad. Yeah, he was. Let me look at the box score so I can get his actual stats here. 18 of 42 for 191 yards. I get it, it's Ohio State, and they have some of the best defensive talent in the country. But 18 of 42? Yeah, that's bad. Penn State's defense was consistently putting the pressure on Kyle McCord and the Ohio State offense to deliver in very tough spots. And they only managed 20 points. Penn State's defense did their job in this one. But their offense was constantly putting the defense right back into situations where they could not do anything to help out their defense. And eventually they kind of caved in towards the end of the fourth quarter. And I just feel so bad for Nittany Lions fans and those who believed in Penn State, me being one of them. We were duped by Drew Aller and this Penn State offense. And now I'm not even sure if Penn State, it's the same old Penn State story. You know, they get all this hype. They're thinking, oh, they could finally compete with the two big dogs in the Big Ten. They get to the big games and they just lay a stinker. This was an absolute just disappointing performance if you're a Penn State Nittany Lion fan. What, they lay a stinker? Yeah, they laid a stinker. They did.
Well, Sonny, let me tell you, they laid a stinker right there.
Well, like I said, I can't say the S word, so if you want to
they suck. There you go.
Oh, okay, that works too. Yeah. Like I said, trying to throw a little mustard on it.
You threw me off. I give you that.
Yeah, they just absolute just.
You got a giggle out of me.
There you go. That's how just thrown off by this game I was. I'm speaking in British slang. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, just disappointing by the Nittany Lions.
Yeah. Not disappointing though. Florida State.
Yeah, Jordan Travis is still him. And so is Keon Coleman, and so is Johnny Wilson. This Florida State offense, Riley Leonard somehow, the fact that he was able to even play in this game was incredible. He ended up leaving again with another injury to his ankle. But Duke, they've got a really good potential next year to be really competitive, especially if Riley Leonard chooses to stay, which I think would be smart for him. Florida State, though, just at this point in their development, is the better team, and they ultimately took care of business at home. This game was really close. At halftime, Duke was ahead, and ultimately in the fourth quarter, Jordan Travis, Mike Norvell, and the crew, they got their stuff together, and they took care of business. And this is a wake-up call for Florida State that any given day in the ACC, you could have a team that could slip up. So they're looking good right now. One of my 3 playoff teams, and yeah, I'm liking my pick right now. So feeling good about them.
Good.
One team that did not look good, oh my goodness, their hangover was serious. The Washington Huskies narrowly escaping Arizona State.
Yeah.
I was texting y'all watching this game on Saturday night, and I'll flat out say it. Washington survived against Arizona State. My God, their offense couldn't do anything. An offense that took down arguably the best defense in the Big Ten with Oregon. They put up 30 some odd points. They couldn't do anything. It was a pick 6 that ultimately got them the lead and ultimately prevailed them in winning. No offensive touchdowns. Michael Penix should not be the I would say front runner for the Heisman anymore, because that performance was atrocious by him in the offense. And the fact that, again, Arizona State can be frisky, but they were down to their, second string quarterback on the road too. It was in, Seattle. How Washington survived this and stayed at 5, I don't know. I thought Oklahoma could have potentially jumped them. This was a big eye-awakening call for the Huskies, because, man, oh man, if they had played anybody worth their salt after this Oregon game, they would not be undefeated at this point.
Yeah, and I'm kind of right there with you. I don't know how they're still up 5 with that.
Yeah. I mean, this offense could not move the ball versus Arizona State,
who's 1-6.
Yeah, they're not. Again, Arizona State's been feisty, but not like even on the defensive side of the ball.
No.
This was not a good performance by Washington. Now, hopefully it's a wake-up call for them, and then we can just forget about it going forward. But they've got some tough games coming up, so they need to make sure they're on their A game going forward.
Yep.
Oklahoma survives versus UCF, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
They had a little bit of a scare there, probably coming down off the Texas win, obviously.
And bye week. Bye week tends to not help anyone.
Well, I mean, could extra preparation, all that stuff. You never know. But I get it with momentum, what you're saying. Gabriel, though, 253, 3 touchdowns, still looking really good. He's a sleeper Heisman candidate, I think, at this point.
I wouldn't say sleep. I mean,
I'm saying, like,
after
in terms
that
to
Texas
win it.
game and all that. Yeah. Oh, in terms to win, yes.
Yeah,
I was like, he needs to be in the talks.
No, he needs to be in the talks. I'm sorry, in terms to win it, yes, I think he should be. But they were able to pull it out, and this was also a wake-up call for Oklahoma.
Yep. So,
shout out to them for taking care of business. Texas.
Again, another close game.
Yeah, they won 31-24. They are now without Quinn Ewers. He is on a week-to-week basis with an AC joint injury.
Yep.
So they're going to turn to Malik Murphy going forward, and this could really put a wrench in Texas's potential hopes of even winning the Big 12 if they're not able to take care of business.
Mm-hmm.
And huge news. I mean, they'll probably lean on Brooks there, the running back that's been doing really good for them. But yeah, Texas now is in a really difficult spot. Now this is 2 seasons in a row that Quinn Ewers has gone down with some sort of injury. Got to be a concern if you're not only a Longhorns fan, but Quinn Ewers' future prospects as the next level.
Even then, when you look at Brooks' stat line too against Houston, 20 carries for 99 yards.
Yeah, 5 yards a carry.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, that's pretty good.
Well, and you'll see further down we go when you're comparing like Oregon stat line and stuff. So,
well, I mean, right, and I'm just saying they could probably lean on it a little bit more to help Murphy.
They're going to need to.
Exactly. Speaking of Oregon, yeah, it must be really nice to have Bucky Irving.
No kidding.
Good
15
Lord.
carries, 129 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Not to mention 3 for 51 and a touchdown receiving as
Yeah.
well. He had over
Insane.
180 yards in total from scrimmage. I mean, Bo Nix, 18 to 25, 293, 2 touchdowns. He did his thing. Credit to Andrew for calling that the fact that they would cover the +20. They got a backdoor touchdown within like the final minute. So shout out to the gambling advice if you took it.
Making him sweat.
Yeah, it made him sweat all right. Cameron, here's the thing. Washington State, I was honestly expecting Oregon just to roll. Washington State with Cameron Ward is probably like one of the least talked about really good quarterbacks in college football. They had a lot of trick plays that just didn't go their way. Like they had a penalty called back on one. They had a tight end drop a wide open what would have been touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they would have won this game regardless. But the fact that they could have even made it closer than what it actually was goes to show that Washington State's offense could compete with anybody, but they were not beating this Oregon Ducks team on this Saturday.
Upset alert, North Carolina.
Yeah, I mean, look, Drake May, we've kind of talked about his kind of completion percentage. He was 24, 48, 50%. Doesn't get it done. The fact that he also had an interception, he did add a touchdown on the ground. North Carolina was always just kind of flirting with fire to me throughout the season. And I know they've finally got their number 1 receiver back, but Virginia, this was a bad loss for the Tar Heels. And what could have been arguably North Carolina's best chance of getting to the ACC championship. They still can, but it now kind of throws a wrench into the hopes because they had the one leg up on Louisville, who had lost the previous week. And now, I think Louisville, I think they've lost twice now. So North Carolina might still be in position to make the ACC championship game.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is something that, like I said, hopefully it wakes up the North Carolina Tar Heels. So,
Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah, Joe Milton didn't even honestly have a bad day, but Alabama just made the plays in the second half that Tennessee didn't. And look, I still think at the end of the day, they will go in and be the representative going up against Georgia in the SEC championship game. We'll see, because obviously they got a big game coming up against LSU here in a little bit. But yeah, Alabama to me, Nick Saban, I just can't ever doubt. I can never count that man out. I can never count him out. Just out of respect for the dynasty that he has imposed for, it seems like forever now. Yeah, and they were able to pull it out versus a very frisky Tennessee team.
Yep. Ole Miss handles business.
Yeah, this was one of those ways. Ole Miss to me now proved they can win in multiple ways. They can have Jackson Dart, who didn't have a great game this way. He could obviously throw it all over the field.
Yeah.
But Quinshawn Judkins, man, oh man, if he gets going, it makes things a whole lot easier for the Rebels. This is a team that could also be really sneaky in terms of competing late into the season. I don't know if I necessarily trust their defense going up against some of the elite defenses in the SEC, but credit to Lane Kiffin and the Rebels for winning in multiple ways.
Yep. I guess we can get into it. Utah.
Yeah.
USC.
Yeah, USC's defense is terrible.
Yep.
It's god-awful. And credit to Bryson Barnes, the freshman starting for Utah. I think he's a gamer. Really adds an element on the ground and also over the top. Utah, to me, they did like a statistic when I was watching the game. Their average weight on their offensive line was 310 pounds plus. Their average defensive line weight for the USC Trojans was around 260 pounds. They had roughly a 50-pound difference on their lines. And Utah just said, we're going to bully you, and we're eventually going to wear you down. We understand Caleb Williams is going to make some plays. That's Superman. That is what he is.
Yep.
But ultimately, we're going to wear you down to the point where we're going to make it easy on ourselves, and we're going to make it really tough for you. And ultimately, they came down, made a last-second field goal, and now you're sitting there just if you're USC, playoffs is probably out of the picture at this point, because I don't even know if they can make the Pac-12 championship, and we had all picked them.
I don't think they can now.
Yeah, to win, and now you still got to go up against Washington. Yep. You still got to go up against Oregon.
Yep.
And yeah, their schedule is brutal towards this end of the stretch, and this was a really bad loss for the Trojans.
I'm sure Lincoln Riley will leave at 2 a.m. in the night to go coach another team now. So,
wow.
And then
not yet, but thank you. It's a breaking news I'll bring up later. In the
Gotcha.
Day. Okay. But yeah, so USC loses that one. This is a bad loss for the Trojans.
LSU handles business against Army 62-0. I mean, not much to say there.
Jaden Daniels, also sneaky Heisman candidate as well to win it. So
Missouri, South Carolina, 34-12.
Yeah, Missouri. I'm done with Rattler, man. I'm done.
He didn't have that bad of a game.
It's in terms of being an NFL prospect, in terms of all of that.
An interception didn't help.
Yeah, it's 217, barely over 50% completion percentage, and 19 QBR. It's not good, man. I'm done.
Nope. Air Force takes on Navy. Air Force won 17-6.
Shout out. That game was actually pretty fun to watch, as all Air Force Navy games are. Yeah, shout out to Air Force for getting the job done.
Tulane took on your North Texas Mean Green, and Tulane won.
Yeah, to be honest, the fact that we were even in this game goes to show you how far we've come. Chandler Rogers, for us, is the real deal. Love the fact that he's leading our team.
343 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Tulane's just a better overall team. And shout out to Michael Pratt and the Green Wave. They won the Battle of the Greens. Yep. So
Minnesota overthrows Iowa 12-10.
Shout out to Andrew again for the over-under pick in this one.
Yep.
Yeah, this is an ugly football game. Iowa's just, without McNamara, they're sitting duck.
And then UCLA overthrew Stanford.
Yeah, UCLA is a really good team.
Yeah.
And Stanford coming off that win versus Colorado, they stood no chance in this one.
All right. Well, let's look at next week's schedule. Who we got here? OU will take on Kansas.
Big game.
Big game there.
Big game. If OU is not on their P's and Q's, they will lose to the Jayhawks.
And then Florida State takes on Wake Forest.
Like the Seminoles in this one. Wake Forest can be sneaky at home, but I like the Seminoles to take care of business on the road.
Penn State, Indiana.
Penn State revenge game. Although I'm not a fan of their future prospects, I do think they are better than Indiana at this point.
Now for the Florida-Georgia line.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Georgia takes care of business. Graham Mertz turns into Graham Mertz. Georgia rolls.
Texas, BYU.
Again, Malik Murphy. This is a frisky BYU team. I would expect a lot of Brooks.
It's in Austin.
It is in Austin, so that Longhorns get the benefit of that. But yeah, I like the Longhorns to win in this one. Probably. What is the spread on this? I'm just curious. Sorry. Pulling it up. Minus 17.5. Yep. I would definitely take the Cougars side of that one, respectfully. So,
Oregon, Utah, big matchup.
Yeah. So when I made the Bo Nix prediction, right? This is one of those games where I had circled thinking that Cam Rising was going to play. He obviously got ruled out for the rest of the season.
Yep.
Right after the USC game, with a medical red shirt, so he'll be back next year for the Utes. I'm a roll. Listen, with the Utah Utes, I still got to back it, well, for the sake of my bet, honestly.
You're like, I don't want to buy a jersey and wear it all the time.
Yeah, so I'm a roll with the Utes. I do think their freshman QB can make things interesting on the Oregon defense. And the one thing that Oregon, right, is we saw it with Washington. If they're on the road and then we have a defense that can kind of push back, and their offensive line can push back on Oregon's defense, it can make things tough on the Ducks. So I think on the road, I think the Utes legitimately have like a good shot of winning this game. I'm rolling it obviously with the bet, but Oregon's coming in with a lot of confidence, so don't be shocked with either result in that one.
Notre Dame, Pittsburgh.
Notre Dame takes care of business. I think Sam Hartman.
Would hope so.
Yeah, I think Sam Hartman gets the job done.
Duke,
Louisville. This is one. Okay, so Louisville only had the one loss. Okay, so they didn't play. Excuse me. So yeah, this could be potentially who faces Florida State in the ACC championship game. So this is a nice little preview for that. So this is a big game for both teams. I'm gonna roll. Why did it do that?
You're gonna roll.
Sorry.
With?
It clicked me off the screen, so I'm like trying to get back to wherever I just was.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm a roll with the road team on that one. I'm gonna roll with them.
Taking Duke.
Yeah, I just think again, Riley Leonard. I'm not sure his health, but I'm not sure how I feel about Louisville, to be honest, after their loss. So I'll roll with Duke.
Tulane, Rice.
Tulane.
Yeah. USC, California.
USC gets a bounce back win. I think Caleb Williams special in that one.
Washington, Stanford.
Washington comes out and again I think finds their footing. I think that's just the main thing. They just got to find themselves again.
Air Force, Colorado State.
Air Force.
Tennessee, Kentucky.
I'll roll with Tennessee. I'll roll with Tennessee in that one. I think Joe Milton will have a good game.
All right. Ohio State, Wisconsin.
Ohio State.
All right. Ole Miss, Vanderbilt.
I'll roll with Ole Miss. Vandy could make it interesting, but I'll roll with Lane Kiffin in that one.
Taking a dart on dart. Colorado, UCLA.
That one could be really interesting. I think UCLA is the more complete team, and I'll roll with Chip Kelly in this one. But don't be surprised if Prime and those boys make it close towards the end.
All right. We got North Carolina and Georgia Tech.
North Carolina.
Yeah, I'd hope so. James Madison, Old Dominion.
I think Old Dominion might be a sneaky one in that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that one could be a really sneaky potential game for James Madison. So be on I know they're undefeated right now.
Yep.
Don't be surprised.
All right. And then Oregon State, Arizona.
I'm going to roll with Oregon State and DJU.
All right. Well, that really about does it for college football. Got anything else?
No, I think we're ready to take it over to the big leagues.
To the big boys.
Let's do it. Ba-na-na-na-na. All right, so the breaking news that Andrew was breaking to me, I guess that it happened on Twitter.
Yeah,
Marvin Jones stepping away from football. We obviously hope everything's good with that situation. I don't know the details of anything, but obviously hope for his health and well-being in that one.
All right. Let's roll on into last week's matchups. We'll start with Thursday night. The Jacksonville Jaguars took on the New Orleans Saints, and Jacksonville won.
Yeah.
Not really handled business, but won 31-24.
They're 5-2, and they're one game out of the best record in the AFC. To me, they weren't really a story. I mean, Travis Etienne, we all realize now, is one of the best running backs in football.
Yep.
And Trevor Lawrence is doing what he does, and he's just operating the game. So the biggest takeaway for me was the Saints, and more specifically Derek Carr. Did you see all the temper tantrums he was having during this one?
Yes.
To be honest, man,
that whole Saints is having issues right now.
It is. They, on paper, should be the big favorites in the NFC South. And one of the reasons I picked Atlanta, which again, we'll see what they look like the rest of the season, is because I don't fully trust this upper head. Like Derek Carr, on paper, should be the best quarterback. Yep. He has not played like it. Dennis Allen, in theory, should be the best head coach. He has not acted like it. And even with Alvin Kamara just getting, 29 touches?
Yeah.
You need to spread the ball out more. You have Michael Thomas. You have Chris Olave. You have all these other skilled playmakers.
We'll see how long Chris is there for.
Yeah, he obviously
got into some trouble, got arrested.
Yeah, reckless driving. Going 35 over the limit is never good. And obviously he's still dealing with that, so we'll wait to hear more on that end. But yeah, the Saints team just feels like they're in, just shambles right now.
Yep.
So
moving on over to the Sunday games. We'll start off with the Bears.
The Tyler Badgett. Wow. This was an interesting game. I didn't expect either team to blow each other away. So the fact that the Bears won by this much was shocking. But yeah, sometimes, just a backup quarterback every once in a while just to get the team rejuvenated is all the team needs. And the Bears pick up their second win of the season at home. Credit to them for getting the job done. This to me was just, one of those weird games. It's just like, oh, hey, nice. The Bears won by this much. Mm-hmm. The Raiders are also starting a backup, Brian Hoyer. So it's just
the battle of the backups.
Yeah, this is a battle of who's drafting a quarterback higher come the next upcoming draft. Yep.
So Colts and Browns.
What a game. I don't know if did you watch this one?
No.
My God.
Gardner Minshew deserves a starting role.
Well, he's got one. And,
permanently.
2 touchdowns, 300 yards. He did have an interception and 3 lost fumbles, which is not something that, hey, listen, that we got to call it out. We got to be fair here.
Yeah. The man hadn't had a starting role in a while. All right.
And, look, he showed out. He obviously led the Colts on a lot of really successful drives. Cleveland somehow pulling out this game at the end was nothing short of a miracle. They are going to be without Jerome Ford here for the next couple of weeks as he deals with an injury.
Kareem Hunt there.
Yeah, so he'll pick up the slack. Deshaun Watson also left this game with, I believe it was a concussion. That man's very fragile, and just I think that
I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm about to say. I think that goes without saying. Our feelings on that one. So, yeah, very good day if you had anybody in fantasy in this one. But yeah, just one of those barn burners where the Colts just somehow just didn't pull away with the win, and the Browns escaped. That was incredible.
One of the more shocking wins, Patriots over the Bills.
Mac Jones, baby. Just when you thought he was done, he pulls you right back in.
No, I don't think anyone wants them to pull him right back in. Just let him. It's like the horse on its last legs. It's like, just put it down out of its misery.
Well, he put the Bills out of their misery in this one because he led a game-winning touchdown drive.
Oh, my goodness.
Over Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. Here's what
I'll talk about no defense.
Here's the thing, right? Yes, the defense didn't play the best for the Bills. It also didn't help that Josh Allen, the first play from scrimmage, threw an interception that gave the Patriots immediate life. And look, Mac Jones was efficient, 25 of 30, 272. That'll win you games. And the rushing attack, it in total put up 96 yards, decent. This comes back to the Bills where I'm just like, the inconsistency drives me absolutely bonkers with this team. Like, Josh Allen is such a roller coaster, right, in terms of just game to game, but it's also half to half. Like, first half, he was terrible in this one. Second half, he comes back, he plays better, obviously gets that late touchdown to Diggs, all that stuff. To me, and I'm going to keep saying this, and I'm not just saying this because James Cook's on my fantasy team, the Bills just need to run the ball more to take pressure off of Josh Allen, because I swear to God, he feels like he's in that divisional round game of the Chiefs, the one where they went back and forth like that in the final 2 minutes, every game. He feels like he has to score the quickest, the fastest, just everything all at once. And it's like, okay, Josh, you could take the check down every once in a while. You can just take the easy throw. And he just feels like, again, he has an absolute cannon and a very good NFL arm, like one of the best in the business. Just sometimes the Bills just need to stop getting in their own way. They should not have lost this game. They shouldn't have.
They really shouldn't.
And I think getting the ball out of Josh Allen's hands in terms of just focusing more on the rushing attattack to open things up more.
I don't know if James Cook, though, is your guy that you're going to say.
Okay, give it to Latavius Murray then. Just mix it up. Give it a by committee. You know, they brought Leonard Fournette in for a visit. Who cares? Just give it to one of them to get it out. I'm not even, like I said, I don't care about fantasy. Just take the ball out of Josh Allen's a little bit more so he doesn't have these freaking roller coaster moments, and maybe it settles him down a little bit. I don't know if McDermott will do it because he just believes, 17, go out there, be superhuman and whatever.
Yes.
I don't know if that's going to be winning. That's not winning football. They're 4-3 for a reason.
Yep.
That's all I got to say.
The two Titans go at it, Washington Commanders and the Giants.
Are we sure Tyrod Taylor's not better than Daniel Jones?
No, he is.
Okay. Saquon did Saquon things. Darren Waller also had a coming out game for the Giants.
Yeah. Tyrod Taylor, congratulations.
Yeah.
You deserve that rollover, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I think honestly, the fact that they gave him that extension, which for the Giants, it's good that they can get out of it after next year. But for these next year and a half or whatever, they're going to be suffering with that kind of weight around their neck. Yep. So,
for the next game, instead of Where's Waldo, it's Where's Bijan. Falcons narrowly. Just
where's Bijan? Where's Bijan?
Am I wrong?
Yeah,
wasn't that the thing?
You voiced everybody's thoughts during this game, especially for fantasy.
Yeah.
He apparently had like some headaches or some fever, some stomach stuff, whatever it was. So
Falcons knew ahead of time though and didn't say anything.
Which we'll see if the NFL addresses them or not.
It's BS for us fantasy players. I didn't have him on my team, but it's still BS.
Yeah, I know it is. Baker Mayfield, listen, he had like an okay game. He's about what he is. To me, this is going to be very telling of the Bucs' second half of the season, is if he can really kind of step up his play, because that's a game that you should have won at home with the Falcons only registering them in offense. I get the Falcons' defense is a lot better than people give it credit for.
Yes,
but Baker should have won that game if Baker truly is that guy.
Yeah, fair enough. This was a weird one.
No,
Lions-Ravens. The Ravens balled out, and the Lions, I mean, without Monty and
here's what I'll say.
A defense?
and a defense, right? Here's what I'll say. So Baltimore proved they deserve to be in the top tier teams in the NFL. Like, I think if I'm being honest, right, and tiers in terms of like who could be Super Bowl, I would look at, Philly and San Francisco, despite what happened last night with San Francisco.
Yep.
I'd still pick those two teams to be the top of the NFC. And at the AFC, I'm looking at the Chiefs and I'm looking at Baltimore. Those two teams to me are the top two in the AFC. And also just put a reminder that the AFC, in terms of like level of competition, because we look at the Lions as one of the best teams in the NFC, I think, they are not on the AFC's level.
No.
Baltimore, and again, maybe this is just Lamar Jackson was having an absolute clinic out there. He was throwing at will, running at will.
Man deserves to get paid.
Their defense.
Eat your heart out, Stephen A. Smith.
Right. Steve Smith, yeah. But yeah, to me, this is Baltimore flexing their stuff. Their defense quietly leads the league in NFL in sacks. Just an absolute wrecking crew. Yeah, I like the fact that the Ravens are doing like this. The thing with the Lions, though, if you look at their upcoming schedule, they don't get like really tested like this again for like the rest of the season, basically.
Yeah.
They're going to go on a roll just because of the strength of schedule, obviously not finishing great last year. So we won't really know what this Lions team really is until potentially the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
So while this was a bad loss for the Lions, again, they're going to have some easier roads up ahead. So
yep. Moving on over to the Steelers-Rams.
We saw Matt Canada actually celebrate a Pittsburgh touchdown. I think he got the memo from Twitter.
Yep.
This was a really ugly game. I think the Rams, to be honest, look, Puka Nacua had a really good game. Cooper Kupp, obviously, even him just out there is an effect.
Freeman?
Yeah, Freeman had a, decent game and everything. I think they do miss Kyron Williams a little bit. I think he gave him just a little bit more juice than some of these guys do. I mean, obviously, that's why they brought up like 3 guys.
Yep.
But yeah, the Rams, to me, they're never going to have a home field advantage until they start marketing to their hometown fans.
You mean when they have fans?
Right, exactly. Like it's so like this. That was a Steelers home game basically. So
anyone who goes there, it's their home game.
Yeah, and Kenny Pickett, by God, he looked really that might have been the best Kenny Pickett game, arguably, that he's had so far in his young NFL career.
Yep.
And George Pickens is him. So yeah.
Moving on over to your Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals.
This was an ugly win. This was a really ugly win. Geno did not have his best performance. Kenneth Walker added 100 yards on the ground on 26 carries, so not the most efficient day from Kenneth Walker. Jackson Smith-Njigba finally had his coming out party in this one. Caught his first touchdown in the NFL, had 4 receptions for 63 yards. This, to me, though, was about the defense. Also, shout out Jake Bobo. We want more Bobo.
Oh my goodness.
More Bobo. Look, it's the Seahawks defense is finally back to, I think, above league average, maybe even really good. I'm not sure yet. Again, this is against the Cardinals team, so I'm not trying to strut my stuff here. But we have 2 legitimate corners, and I get it. Witherspoon, he's, really good, and Jalen Carter is also really good. So the Seahawks clearly made a decision that they felt was in their best interest, and he's paying dividends. PFF, by the way, has him graded as the highest cornerback. I think that's insane, but whatever.
Interesting.
Their secondary is really good. I still think when it comes to like the really good teams, they're going to be able to run on the Seattle team more effectively than, say, an Arizona will. Geno's got to play better if the Seahawks want to have any better result than getting knocked out of the wild card round, because he did not have a great game. He was making really questionable decisions. His interception, my God, just throw that away. That's one you either eat or you just get rid of. And he tried to force it into coverage, and it was picked off. So, yeah, Seahawks escaped with a win, but ultimately a win is a win. So,
2 other Titans go at it. The Green Bay Packers and the Broncos. Let's ride.
You got a lot of Titans in the NFL, man.
So these are what everyone seeks to be like.
Not the Tennessee Titans were on bye this week, obviously. So
no, not them.
Yeah, Denver. This was a lot of people's kind of sneaky pick in terms of like riding with Denver. This might be like one of their few wins they get this year.
Yeah.
I said it last week or 2 weeks ago. Whenever we did a podcast last with the Monday night game with Jordan Love, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks.
I'm done. I'm out. He's on a 2-year, like $11 million deal. They signed him to a backup contract being like, hey, prove yourself. He's proven he's a backup. That's what he's proven. He's proven that he is not a starter in the NFL. It's only going to get harder for him. He has talent around him, so don't tell me that he doesn't have anybody to throw to. The offensive line, yes, they lost Bakhtiari. They're still one of the better offensive lines in the league. I'm done.
Hey, Green Bay, Gardner Minshew, just saying.
Could be. I don't know. Well, it's Jordan Love is not the answer. I would expect Green Bay to potentially look at drafting somebody, maybe in the
they will
later rounds, but yeah, it's over in Green Bay. Yep. And it may be over in Denver too, but at least Russ was able to make the play. That put the Broncos over top. So, credit to them for winning, I guess.
Moving on to the next game. Thanks, ESPN. I never would have guessed Taylor Swift is at another game. Chiefs take on the Chargers, and I'm tired of seeing her.
What did you think it was interesting, the fact that they were showing the Charger superfan and her? And
oh my gosh, I hated the whole game at that point. I'm stop.
It's a little. Listen, the NFL is going to do it. Because
the NFL plant versus Taylor Swift.
I'm also like, here's the thing, right? If she's so much of I don't understand the purpose of it. Like a Chargers plant, I understand it's mostly a joke. Yeah. I don't understand the purpose of it. If it is a plant, I believe she's actually a genuine fan. I don't believe that she's a plant. But if she was a plant, what's the purpose of it? Someone please tell me that.
You got to help boost morale. They should have put her with the Rams.
I guess. Rams would have been a better one. You're right. Yeah. Well, Chargers, ever since they moved to LA, they haven't had the greatest transition, but they have better than the Rams.
See, they're testing it with the Chargers first before they put a bunch of plans with the Rams.
You know what? If they have a super fan with the Rams, you know what? I'll give credit where credit's due. All right? Remember this moment in the podcast. In terms of the actual game, though, Mahomes is still Mahomes. There was any doubt.
Kelsey's Kelsey.
The defense is legit.
Yep.
Chargers, here's the thing, right? And you're not as big of a Herbert guy as I am. Can you tell me something that the Chargers do well outside of something related to Herbert? That's what I thought.
Keenan Allen?
Yeah, connected to Herbert, right? Connected to Herbert. Still. Yeah, rushing, they're middle of the pack.
Yeah.
Defense, they're towards especially pass defense, they're towards the bottom of the NFL. Yeah. Special teams had a gaffe yesterday. Yeah, they are completely Herbert reliant. And I'm not saying Herbert deserves to be one of the best.
He didn't have that great of a game. 2 interceptions.
Yeah. Well, because again, everything falls on his shoulders. Yep. If he's not connecting to Keenan Allen, what are they doing, So I think that the Chargers are going to need to shake things up in the offseason, probably shed some bad contracts. But yeah, this team could potentially miss the postseason, which with Justin Herbert's unfathomable, but they just do not have a supporting cast around him to make things work.
All right, moving on over. Eagles versus the Dolphins. Eagles won 31, Dolphins 17.
Yeah, Philly beat Miami up. They were the more physical team. They punched Miami in the mouth, and Tua and the Dolphins were not able to counteract that. Here's the thing, right? So Tua got off to a great September, kind of early October last year, and then kind of tapered off. Now, granted, he had some injury stuff, so we'll not hold that against him. I'm very interested to see, again, I'm knocking on wood for Tua's health. I'm very interested to see how this Miami offense looks as we get into the muggier part of the season, where we get into the colder months and you're not necessarily playing at Miami's home field and all that stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. The rushing attack obviously didn't get off to a great start. Maybe they miss Devon Achane a little bit, but yeah, Tua and the offense just can never really get things going. I mean, Tyreek Hill is going to do Tyreek Hill things just because he's Tyreek Hill. But Jalen Hurts, this was a statement win by the Philadelphia Eagles. They could very well claim to be the best team in the NFC because another team in the NFC has now lost 2 straight.
Yeah, well, with that, the Addison McCaffrey show.
Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Kirk Cousins on primetime show. Kirk Cousins got that early interception out of the way, and he was just like, you know what, guys?
And he almost had another one. Addison saved him.
Addison did. Oh, my God, Jordan. I fell to my knees, by the way, when that happened.
You were like, no!
I was just like, intercept. No, what the? And my brother was laughing at the entire time.
Oh, your brother was talking all the smack for me.
Yeah. Oh, he was.
I was just like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah,
here.
He was because he knew I was sitting right next to him. Look, Kirk Cousins, one of the best primetime performances he had, 35 of 45, 378. Apparently a top 10 guy according to Troy Aikman.
Yeah. And Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. Hey, he got the top 10 chain on now, so they believe in him. Madison and Akers, I mean, they did all right in relief, kind of splitting the backfield there. Yeah, look, Addison, this was his coming out party. He did leave with kind of like a cramp, I think it was that you said. Cramp. This was his
Came right back.
welcome to the NFL moment. Shout out 7 for 123, 2 touchdowns. Hawkinson 11 for 86 on the day after National Tight Ends Day. So he got his love in. Yeah, Brock Purdy, I will say this again. Now that he's facing adversity, doesn't look as great as he did, through all that winning streak and all that nice stuff and everything. Now that teams are starting to get Niners in precarious situations, and now that he doesn't have the freaking Thanos gauntlet, glove on his hand, he only has some of the gems. He doesn't look all that great. So, listen, Brock Purdy, not to say that the Niners can't bounce back, because they are still a loaded team and they will get healthier. I don't know, man. I just, I feel that the Niners are in an interesting situation, and if they do not reach their ultimate goal, it'll be because of number 13 under center.
All right. Well, let's look at next week's matchups. Who we got here? Starting off Thursday night, we got Tampa versus Buffalo.
Buffalo revenge game. I feel so bad for Baker in this one.
Yeah.
Baker is not going to have a good time.
Good luck. Dallas Cowboys versus Los Angeles Rams.
This will be a sneaky one. Sean McVay off a loss tends to come in with a really good game plan. Dallas obviously coming off a bye week. We'll see if the rust is kind of there for him. But it is in Dallas, so I kind of want to lean Dallas in that one, but that's a go either way game. That's a stay away game if you're a bettor, personally.
Minnesota versus Green Bay.
Minnesota coming off a really good win against San Francisco. This could be a potential trap game for him, given the fact that it's a short week and having such a good performance. But I don't trust Green Bay to even give them 17 points, which I think Kirk Cousins can do. So
we'll see. Yeah. Atlanta versus Tennessee.
This one again could be really interesting. Tennessee coming off a bye. Yep. Atlanta, we'll see if Bijan gets more than one carry. I do think Atlanta's defense and run game travels though, and that one could be interesting. But we know Vrabel is one heck of a coach, so we'll see.
Moving on over, we got New Orleans versus Indianapolis.
New Orleans versus Indy.
I like Indy.
I do, but I think New Orleans' defense can give Indianapolis problems on offense.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure with the Chris Olave stuff. Maybe that kind of hangs over their head a little bit and distracts them. So I do think the Colts could probably win that one, but who knows? It's stay away.
New England versus Miami.
Miami.
Should be Miami.
New England literally coming off a really impressive win. Miami getting trounced on Sunday Night Football. I would expect Miami at home to put it in fourth gear.
The Battle of New York. New York versus New York.
Yeah, I'm going with New York.
New York, all right.
Yeah, listen, is Tyrod Taylor playing? Then who knows? Maybe I like the Giants, but no, I'm gonna roll with the Jets in this one. I'm gonna roll with the Jets.
Jacksonville versus Pittsburgh.
It's a really interesting tell because I think Pittsburgh's really good at potentially stopping the run. Their defense is always on point. Jacksonville, listen, if this could be a Trevor Lawrence prove-it game. We'll see kind of how he looks like. He hasn't been up to the MVP standards that I thought he would be at the beginning of the year. This is a good prove-it game for the Jaguars offense, but Pittsburgh could easily win this one.
Philly will take on their toughest opponent yet, Washington.
Yeah, for real. I mean, they almost forced, overtime last time? Or no, they did force overtime last time. They almost won last time.
Yep.
Yeah, Philly, I think they realize Washington what they are now, and I like the Eagles on the road.
Here's an interesting one. Houston, Carolina.
Yeah, Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. So obviously you got the rookie head-to-head. Again, Carolina going for its first win of the season coming off a bye week. I think CJ Stroud will make enough plays as he's proven to.
He's been balling out, man.
And I think Houston's defense I trust more than Carolina's. So I'll roll with Houston on the road.
I'd agree. Cleveland versus Seattle.
Seattle donning their throwback unis in this one.
Will they win?
Yeah. I'm going to say yes for the memes, but that one could easily bite me in the butt. I think it also depends, too, if Deshaun Watson plays. Even though P.J. Walker at times looked really good, I think Seattle at home, I'll roll with the Seahawks, and I'm going to be rocking my throwback jersey in support.
All right. Taylor Swift takes on the Denver Broncos.
Listen, man, like I said, Denver has won a Super Bowl more recently than they beat the Chiefs. Get out of here with this stuff. Chiefs roll over the Broncos.
All right. I guess you're choosing Taylor Swift.
Yes.
Baltimore.
Yes,
Baltimore versus Arizona.
Baltimore is going to suffocate Arizona. Yes.
Yep. Cincy versus San Francisco.
Again, sneaky one. Joe Burrow traveling off a bye
Can
week
they figure it out?
to Santa Clara.
Get the ball in the
Here's the thing.
ball rolling again.
I think because again, Debo, and we'll see if Trent Williams plays, because I think that could be key.
Fair.
I don't think Debo's expected to be out for this one, so that'll kind of hurt him a little bit. I'm going to roll with Cincinnati.
All right.
I think, yeah, and we'll be sitting there again to Sam Darnold potentially kind of knock his way in there. Who knows?
Chicago, Los Angeles.
I think the Chargers, you got to pick them in this one. Their pass defense isn't great, but whether you're going against Tyler Badgett or Justin Fields, which Justin Fields is doubtful to play in this one. I roll with the Chargers in a get-back game. How this is the Sunday night game and not the Bengals and Niners. NFL, figure it out.
Yep.
Figure it
out. And then the Monday night matchup.
Detroit's get back. They roll
versus
over the
Los
Raiders.
Angeles.
Or Las Vegas, you mean.
Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah. Detroit wins in a good matchup for the Lions.
Alrighty. Well, that about does it for the NFL. Anything else?
Nope. I think it's that time.
That time for This Day in Sports.
No. On this day, back in 2021, Tom Brady becomes the first quarterback in NFL history to record 600 touchdown passes when he hits Mike Evans in the first quarter of the Buccaneers' 38-3 rout of the Chicago Bears in Tampa Bay.
On this day in 1885, World Championship Baseball Series at Cincinnati Baseball Grounds, St. Louis Browns beat the Chicago White Stockings 13-4 in Game 7, despite the series tied at 3-3-1.
On this day, speaking to our cricket fans here, on this day in 2018, Indian cricketer Virat Kohli becomes the 12th and fastest ever to score 10,000 runs in one-day international matches, taking just 205 innings.
On this day in 1939, Joe DiMaggio wins the AL MVP. Jamie Foxx is runner-up.
On this day in 2004, German Ferrari driver Michael Schumacher finishes 8th at season-ending Brazilian F1 Grand Prix at Autodromo José Carlos Pace. His 5th straight World Drivers' Championship, records 7th career world title, Ferrari's 6th straight Constructors' title.
I think I can talk normal for this one. 1963, Sandy Koufax is the unanimous winner of the Cy Young Award.
On this day in 1992, the Baseball World Series, the Toronto Blue Jays beat the Atlanta Braves 4-3 in Game 6 at Atlanta Fulton County Stadium to win their first ever title. MVP was Toronto catcher Pat Borders.
On this day in 1974, Billy Martin named AL Manager of the Year, Texas Rangers.
And on this day in 1988, New York Islanders and NHL high scorer Mike Boesel retires. Shout out to Mike Boesel.
All right. And then
you can round it off if you want to.
Do I want to do Michael Jordan or Tom Brady?
Well, I did Tom Brady, so
you did? Okay, then I'll do Michael Jordan.
Yep, there you go.
On this day in 2021, Michael Jordan's 1984 Nike Airship sells for $1.472 million, setting a new record for sneakers at auction.
I got one more because I just saw it. I do. I'm stealing it from you. Now, on this day in 1976, English McLaren driver James Hunt finishes 4th in the season-ending Japanese Grand Prix at Fuji Speedway to win his first Formula One world title, Drivers' Championship by 1 point over Niki Lauda. Shout out to the movie me and Andrew love that highlighted this rivalry, Rush.
Oh, I've actually seen that one.
Yeah, so this was what Rush was based on that season.
Isn't that the guy that caught on fire?
Yes, Niki Lauda, yes.
Dang.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yep. So, all right. This has been episode 58. Appreciate you all listening to Good Time Sports. Make sure you check us out. Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm going to be posting a TikTok this week, so make sure you check that out. From Brendan Carson, I'm Cullen Brown saying thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Peace.